Hello and welcome. What is up, everybody? It is the Brotastic Bro. Thank you so much for joining me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have just reached law number 9 of this 48 Laws of Power series. That's right, I got 39 more videos to go in this series. So please subscribe and join me for the rest of them. The 9th law of power is to win through your actions and never win through argument. You see, much prior to Kobe Bryant's tragic passing in a helicopter accident last year, we once witnessed a time where Kobe Bryant put up an absolute perfect example of how to follow the 9th law of power. Kobe on several different occasions throughout his career used the laws of power to his advantage absolutely perfectly throughout his career. Remember that towards the end of his career, Kobe had come under some heat for taking a tremendously large contract his final few years, and it only exacerbated the problem that the rest of the team was absolutely subpar due to most of their cap being invested in Kobe, as well as the fact that Kobe was injured a lot during this part of his tenure. You see, there were some members of the media, as well as even regular people on YouTube, who had managed to turn some of the public perception at the time against Kobe Bryant under the guise that he was simply too expensive for the Lakers to want to pay the rest of his contract out. Some people, however, disagreed and perceived it as him having earned his large payday and it being a way of the Lakers organization of thanking him for all the blood, sweat, and tears he had sacrificed throughout all those years in Los Angeles, which, may I add, concluded in them winning multiple titles. That being said, there were still people who were critical of Kobe for taking such a large contract at the end of his career. Now, one of these people actually had the bravery to speak out and say something about Kobe's contract situation. This particular statement was one that Kobe would hear and, dare I say, took it personally. On the occasion I'm speaking of right now, I'm actually speaking of Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban. See, he made the mistake, I'm going to call it a mistake in hindsight, of publicly suggesting that the Los Angeles Lakers should consider using the amnesty clause for Kobe Bryant's massive contract. For those of you that are not aware, them activating the amnesty clause would essentially have meant that the Lakers could waive Kobe, still pay him his full salary, but his cap hit will then go off the books and he can no longer re-sign with the team. So what Mark Cuban was suggesting was that they essentially force Kobe's hand into retirement prematurely, and realistically they can use that money to pursue multiple other players in the meantime, which is fair. They can pursue multiple players for that roster, and it's also fair to say that it would have been an understandable business move, as the Lakers were actually putting up some of their historically worst seasons ever as a franchise. And at the end of the day, sports is a business, and as far as how much money was being invested into Kobe Bryant, with him being injured and their bench and the rest of the team being absolutely subpar, since they didn't have very much money left after his contract, it is understandable, at least to me, why a business and why a franchise would have made that move. Especially when you consider the fact the team only won 17 games in the entire season. However, from a morality standpoint, we gotta understand, this is Kobe Bryant we're talking about. This man has sacrificed so much, and he had earned it, and the large contract was to be honored and paid out, and he was allowed to retire properly at the end of the season. Regardless of them having said losing record, they still did not use the amnesty on Kobe Bryant. However, as one may imagine, Kobe was not happy about the statements from Mark Cuban suggesting the amnesty clause. He made a mental note of it, and mentally, you could say he circled the date on his calendar. He was fully prepared to go out and make a statement when the day came, when they eventually would have to encounter the Mavs again. And then let's talk about the final game in which Kobe Bryant went to Dallas to take on the Mavericks, which were owned by Mark Cuban, the man who suggested they should use the amnesty clause on him. Kobe obviously couldn't specifically take on Mark Cuban one-on-one, as many players traditionally settle their beef, so he instead decided to take it out on the entire franchise. He decided he was going to make Mark Cuban eat his words. And instead of going on a public tirade or slandering him before the game or anything of that nature, he decided to wait until the night that they played them, and Kobe went out there and balled out. He decimated and torched their defense for 62 points on their head in a dominant Laker victory. He, after the game, made his public statement in the most remarkable way. All he had to do was simply respond by making one tweet. 2 simple words that delivered the exclamation point to the message Kobe had just delivered to an entire NBA franchise. Kobe simply tweets out infamously 2 words, quote unquote, amnesty that. Imagine being Mark Cuban at that moment, man. Imagine having to sit there as your team is just getting dismantled in front of your eyes, all because you had to open your mouth. Don't get me wrong, I'm normally fond of Mark Cuban, especially the way he famously checked Skip Bayless. Like, yes, ladies and gentlemen, someone actually did it. He checked Skip Bayless, and he made him look foolish and honestly silly for trying to badmouth LeBron. And this was all the way back just after the Mavericks have won the finals. So it's like, on an unrelated note, man, Skip been coming after LeBron for like a decade. Why is he still doing that? But anyway, let me get back to talking about Kobe, man. That being said, Mark Cuban. Mark, why? Why would you do that? Why would you set off a man capable of dropping more than 60 points on your franchise? It's not like he only did it once in his career. He's already did that more than one time before this even happened. Mark Cuban, man, why did you have to say that? That was a bad decision. That is not following the laws of power. Always say less than necessary. The Lakers had nothing to do with them. That having been said, I want to leave you guys off with a quote here. Obviously, you can learn from your own mistakes, but wise people learn from the mistakes of others. And that being said, Mark Cuban got taught a very, very valuable lesson from Kobe Bryant. What is that lesson, ladies and gentlemen? That lesson is the 9th law of power. Win through your actions, never through arguments. And before I go, allow me to leave you with the judgment of the law. Any momentary triumph you think you have gained through an argument is really just a Pyrrhic victory. The resentment and ill will you will stir up is stronger and lasts longer than any momentary change of opinion. It is much more powerful to get others to agree with you through your actions without saying a single word. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, demonstrate, do not explicate. So that being said, man, that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. This is the Brotastic, bro. We are on law number 9. Law number 10 will be coming very soon. We still got another 38 videos to go after this one. Okay? 38 videos after this. So we got a long way to go, man. So that being said, please leave a like and subscribe. I work very hard on these videos for you. And if anything, man, just leave me a comment so I know you hear me. I want to know that y'all are watching, man. This is the Brotastic, bro. I appreciate every single person who takes the time out their day to watch my videos, man. From the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. Have a great day.